Hi everyone, it's Kerry back with you today. So I'm going to do the hidden paperclip tutorial today using the September Freebie from the Playing with Paper and Glue Facebook group. Now if you're not into Facebook, this freebie will be available in our shop on the 1st of October, but you don't need to use these papers. You can use any paper to make hidden paperclips. But I did have a few people ask me how I've created this double-sided one using the freebie, so I'm going to show you that today. So all I have done is printed out the two pages, the two freebie pages, and I've printed this on fairly heavy cardstock. I think this is 200 or it might even be 250 GSM. And I've printed out a couple because I'm going to show you a couple of variations with that paperclip today. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut out this corrugated, or these two corrugated panels here, and then I'm going to cut out this middle section of text without the flowers and a couple of these tickets. So I'll just do that and I'll be right back. So I'm going to use the brownish corrugated pattern for my base. So I'm just going to separate that from the green for the moment, and again I'm just roughly cutting it because I'm going to be tearing it to give me this nice torn edge. So the first thing I want to do is fold my corrugated piece in half. Just move all these other bits out of the way. So I'm just going to find my bone folder and I'm just going to give that a good press down. Okay, then I'm going to tear around the edge to give me that torn look. So I'm actually going to prepare a second one so that I can show you a variation on this hidden paperclip. So I'll just quickly do this one and I'll be right back. So I've got my two bases here and I've just roughly inked around both sides. So the paper clips that I've got here are 33 millimeters long. Now you could use any size paper clip, but you need to make sure you have enough real estate to cover up your paper clip and hide it. So I'm just going to test these. I do actually have some slightly smaller ones, but I think these ones will be okay. So I think I'll get away with those. I will just put them on a little bit of an angle, which means I don't have to go out as far with my next layer of paper to cover them up. So the next thing we need to do is take our green paper and I'm going to fold it in half. And we're doing the same thing, we're just tearing it out, but we need to tear off a little bit more this time. So I'm going to begin tearing and I'll start by getting the height of my paper right. So there, and I'm going to tear it about here. So that's going to give me a nice border on both sides, and then I need to work out how much I want to tear off the edge but still have enough to cover my paper clips. So, and remember, when you put this paper over, it's going to stick out a little bit further than the bottom layer because it's got to go over the top of these paperclip bits. So you can layer your paper and then fold it back like this to give you an idea of how far you want to go. Or you can measure it, or you can just wing it and eyeball it. So I've folded those back, they're roughly the same, and I'm just going to tear slightly inside that crease. And then just test and make sure that that covers my paper clips. So yep, and then I'll do the same for the other side. Okay, so I've got my two green pieces. I'm just going to quickly ink around the edges. I'm just going to go ahead and apply some glue over my paper clip here. Oops. Try that again. And I'm just going to make sure that I get glue all the way around the paper clip to begin with. And then I'm going to take my panel and I'm going to pop glue onto my panel. I'm just going to do it one side at a time. And I'm not going too close to the edge because I don't want it to sort of ooze out everywhere. So just lining up my paper clips roughly in the middle and then folding that over and giving it a good press down. But once I've got that stuck down, I can turn over and do the same thing. And again, make sure you're gluing around the paper clip quite well. So you don't want that to move. So on this one, I'm going to do it just a little bit differently. So I'm lining up my green panel over the top of my brown panel to make sure that it's covering my paper clips. Then I'm going to open up this green panel and I'm pushing this paper clip just ever so slightly out. So I've got just the tiniest little gap on my paper clip, just here, like a little hole, because this is actually going to be a place where we're going to hang something. So I've left the bottom one pushed right in, but you could have 2 holes if you wanted to. So I need to punch a hole in this green paper. I'm just going to make a little mark here. I want it about here. And fold it inside out. I'm just going to take my hole punch. Now you don't want a full hole. You just want to basically snip the edge off so that that paper clip can poke through. So I've just taken the slightest little notch out there, fold it back over the right way, and then when I poke, or when I push my paper up to the edge, just the very end of this paper clip will be poking out slightly, just like that. So it's enough room to get either a jump ring or a little bulb pin or something like that in there. And I'm going to apply glue on the paper clip, around the paper clip like we did for the other one. And when I push this down, I need to make sure that I don't push the paper clip up too hard against my underneath panel. Now what you might want to do to help with that is get a little bulb pin or some kind of pin. So I've just got a little bulb pin here, and I'm going to apply that through that little loop and close it up so I don't stab myself. And then that'll make sure that I maintain that little bit of a gap there, and I can go ahead and start pressing down on my glue. And then I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so that's the basic structure of our hidden paper clips already completed. I would leave these to completely dry before I try to stick them onto anything, but basically this gap here is where you are going to slide the paper clip onto your book page or the tag or whatever it is that you're wanting to slide it onto, and it's just a matter of decorating the top however you feel. So for this one, I just took a piece of the text paper from the freebie and I folded it in half. And then again, I just tore out a little section to cover my panel. So I've torn out this whole long piece and I'm just going to work out how much I want for this side. So I'm going to say about there. Yep, happy with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink around the edge. And then I can just glue that on as well. I find it's easier to glue them on one side at a time, especially if you're using something like art glitter glue that grabs really quickly. So there we go. And then I've cut out some of the tickets here. So I'm going to cheat and fold that in half. Now I've got this awesome punch that has a little notchy thingy in it, so I don't have to try to cut ticket corners. I can just punch them out. It's actually a really good punch because it's got a tag topper on it as well. So it will cut like the tag angle. Let me just show you what I mean. So let's say I wanted to give this a tag edge. I can just find it easier to line it up from the underneath. And it gives me that, perfect little tag corner there. So I really like this punch. So I've got my little tags here, or my little tickets. I'm just going to separate those. And then I can glue one on one side. Just ink around the edges first. And then same for the other side. There we go, and then just set that aside to dry. So we'll come back and work on this one. Still quite damp in there. So now I can do the same thing with my layering piece. I can pop a little hole in here. So work out roughly where I need it. Just tear this down just a little bit more. Just there. Snip off my tiny little hole. And just ink around my edges. Now if you didn't want to have to snip the hole, you could just tear your piece smaller so it fits underneath the hole. You could do that as well. Alright, so I need to undo my pin for a sec. And line up my page. Pop my little pin back in. Make sure I've got enough room there. Yep. And then same process as before. Alright, and to finish off my little dangle, I've got a little jingly bell here and a little dragonfly charm. So I'll just pop those on. So now I've got a little charm there as well. And then when you pop that into your book, and like I said, I'd leave it to fully dry before I popped it on. But we'll give it a go. Hopefully we won't tear it. And then I can just pop that onto the edge. And then my little dangles will hang on the outside of my book. So there we go. I hope those of you that asked for that tutorial were able to follow along with that. So they're pretty easy. And like I said earlier, you can use any papers at all for this. I do recommend the heavier weight paper, but this top decoration part, you don't need to use a heavy weight paper, but it was on the same sheet, so I just left it at that. So remember, if you're part of the Playing with Paper and Glue Facebook group, you can get the freebie now. I will leave a link below to the group where you can join if you're not. But if you don't do Facebook, then this freebie will be available in our shop on the 1st of October, and I'll pop links to both of those in the description box below, and I'll also pop a link below to this tag punch in case anyone wants one of those. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye!